I would like to fly you a little bit through the digital world, what I consider, interesting these days. I will tell you a little bit about my company, how I got there, and, consider some trends and try to give you some, motivation to move faster maybe, because I think most of the publishers still in many markets, and I'm including explicitly the mature markets, aren't moving fast enough. So I will try to kick you a little bit and give you some insights that hopefully are valuable for you. So where am I from? So it's actually the first presentation where I'm daring to put those pictures in. The picture on the left, that shows my father. He was trying to be a musician. He ended up in the industry, but in the 60s he was trying to play guitar and imitating the Beatles, I guess. So the funny picture in the middle, that's me in my, I was 19, 20 or something, trying to become a rock star, or maybe a rapper, I don't know really. And then I tried to make a career as a musician, and I got a record deal, so somebody believed in what I did with my band, but we terribly failed. We were probably not good enough, I have to say. And so I had wonderful years in the music industry, seeing, growing up with all this kind of media business, but I had to change the side of the desk rather quickly and understand that I'm probably rather a professional manager than a professional creator. And so I became a music professional, and I had a music company that was taking care of artists, managing artists, trying to sell records. That was roughly between 2000 and 2008. And it was a successful time, but actually that was my first key experience because I saw an industry that was suffering so much from the digital disruption. I think no other industry like the music industry was hit so hard by digitalization. It was very difficult to make business, and I decided I don't want to be like the guy in my best years where I can develop business. I don't want to stay in this industry, and I didn't want to go to the corporate world. So I thought, what can I do, to take advantage of what I've learned before and what I've done in the music business. So actually, my partner, who was one of the other guys on the funny pictures on the first slide, who's still my business partner today, he came back from honeymoon from the US saying, I got it. I have the idea. I have to say it wasn't my idea. He came back saying, it's the Kindle that was released by Amazon now. It's coming and it's going to disrupt the book industry. So as we don't have a good idea as entrepreneurs in the music industry, what usually happens when you're in the box, you don't really think out of the box. We thought very naively, okay, we can found a company in the book industry and do what digital distributors do for music labels. So that was what we experienced. We had worked with music labels in the music industry, with music distributors. So music was digital already 10 years earlier than books. So we decided we give it a try and found a company in the book business. The first people I asked about whether I should do this were, of course, from the book industry, people that I got to know. They all said, it's stupid, don't do it. There was a moment where I thought, I don't know, but maybe that's exactly what I needed to hear, because it seems like they don't see the problem. And maybe because I'm coming from a different industry and I'm daring to not think in the parameters of this book industry, maybe we have the right idea. So we started our business with a very, very simple claim. We were expecting that ebooks are taking over the world. I have to say it hasn't happened. That's probably pretty good, because the print book is a pretty good thing and it's gonna stay for a while, I guess. But we understood that there is a need to get access to the new retail landscape that was developing at that time. So we had Amazon coming with the Kindle, we had Apple building the iPhone with an integrated bookshop, iBooks on it. There was a German initiative, so we thought like publishers would need help to distribute their books into those new channels, and they would probably need help to understand the business and develop it. So that was one of our first brochures saying, we get your ebooks into the shops. Very simple, very easy to understand. Today, it's much more complex. So today, we are saying we are a digital publishing partner for publishers, and we are helping them with our software and our technology and our team to build up their digital business. So the value proposition has changed a lot in these 8 years. And I will try to give a very brief history of Bookwire. In 2010, we were founded. In 2011, that was the year kind of the proof of concept, because Apple came to town. Apple opened up the iBook store. And thanks to my connections from the music industry, I could immediately connect to them. And we were the first German book distributor that delivered books to the iBook store very early. So that was the big message to the market. We can get your books into Apple. That opened finally the doors to our business. So the business developed quite quickly. We introduced audiobook distribution, what was actually my home turf, to our services. So we added audio. Then we thought from day one, how can we get international? Because we felt like we work with Amazon, we work with Apple. Of course, we work with local companies in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, but we need to go abroad. We need to make it a digital business. So we decided to start some initiatives in Europe. And I can say if you look at our business today, you would say, this guy had a perfect Latin America strategy in mind. I can assure you it's totally wrong. The first things we did, we went to the Netherlands, not seeing that we have a competitor that we can't beat. We went to Russia. Well, Russia, you can imagine, it's become quite difficult over the years. But also we went to Spain, and Spain kind of worked out well. So we actually went by, results. We just checked what worked, and then we continued our way. So Spain was on the map, it was working, and then we developed further our business to Brazil from there. But I will come back to that later. So we added then another product to our services that was print on demand. So it's kind of complementing the services. It's, in my view, it's a digital service. It's ebooks, it's audiobooks, and print on demand, because it's a digital workflow, even though there's a printed book in the end. And then, after 2015, we found that, especially in our mature markets, in the German markets, it's all about marketing, it's about discoverability, it's about how to get the book to the reader. So we developed a lot of marketing tools, and I will give you some information about this later in the presentation, because I have a focus on technology in this presentation to show you how Trini nicely said, technology is not a monster, it's a great help to facilitate and to develop your business. So the claim that we gave us a few years ago was that it's the next level digital publishing. We want publishers to go into the next level. It's not ending with ebooks. That's also referring to the title of the presentation. Ebooks is a format. Ebooks doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the digitalization of the industry. It's just a format, like somebody earlier said in his presentation, that the container may be digital, but actually it's about many more things becoming digital. So today we work for roughly 1,500 publishers globally. We have 4 locations. We have our headquarters in Germany. We have a team in Spain, a team in Brazil, and a team in Mexico. And just recently opened a very, very small office in the UK market. We manage a huge catalog of ebooks. So I will explain a little bit more in a few minutes how our business model works, but we have a huge catalog of over 300,000 ebooks that we manage in our platform, that we distribute, usually exclusively on behalf of the publishers, and 50,000 audiobooks. What is a huge number? That is because the German audiobook market is a mature market. It used to be a strong market already 10 years ago. It comes from the physical market, from CDs, but it's very drastically and quickly changing into a digital market today. We handle a lot of digital sales per day, so it's over 50,000 sales that are happening with our catalog. We have, even though there's, of course, as we all know, a few very important sales channels, there's many hundreds more sales channels that we serve, and that is also really, really part of my message. Work with everybody and try to be as broad as possible and not only focus on the big Amazon, the big Apple, the big Google, work with your local retailers and try to make the business as broad as possible. And there's a huge number of new titles every month coming in, because as we all know, the ubiquity of content is huge. We have content that is being produced from self-publishing, from publishers, everywhere. So we have just a huge catalog that is developing very fastly. So on the right side, you see like our German business. It's above roughly 30 people in our headquarters. So we manage our platform and technology from there. The approach is to be a global company, to think global, but to act very local. That's what I learned very early in the publishing market. It's a people's business, like the music business was as well. So it's about relationships, it's about loyalty, it's about, well, getting along with each other and partnering with each other and cooperating with each other. And so we understood that we need local teams. We need local teams on the ground that really understand the market, understand the mentality. And so we have a team in Spain that's roughly 8 people at the moment, and a team in Brazil that is now over 10 people. And as we are really extending our audiobook distribution services a lot, and this is something that is very much happening also in the English-speaking markets, we have recently opened an office in UK with a previous Penguin Random House employee, trying to get a foothold for the first time in one of the English-speaking markets. In the US market, in the English-speaking market, in the UK market, there's a decent volume in the Netherlands and in Germany, a little bit in Italy and Spain, but the big markets are definitely Germany and the English-speaking markets. But it's the talk of the town. So Markus Dohle recently said, the CEO of Penguin Random House, that he's expecting 50% of the business to be audio in the future. That's a tough guess. Let's see. But I mean, if somebody who's rather a conservative guy, I would say he's a German company leader from Bertelsmann in Germany, who's leading Penguin Random House now, he's not usually, well, announcing big things like that. So it means they have really understood that something is going on there. And as I said, print on demand, I think the big time of print on demand is still coming. We've just heard a very, very interesting presentation how global cooperation in print on demand can facilitate selling books and can help us to sell more books and really solve a distribution problem. But it's going to take a while, I guess, because the infrastructure needs to grow, and publishers are a bit slower in adapting as I expected, as I usually expect. But I'm thinking there's a big time of print on demand ahead. Oh, sorry, this should be like this. So I just wanted to explain quickly, we have 2 kinds of business models. There's smaller and medium publishers that work with us in a full service model. That means we have the contract to Amazon, to any sales channel, and the publishers use us to go to these sales channels, and we pay them. But of course, there's big publishers. We recently bought a distributor in Brazil, DLD, and they, for example, some of them had their own contracts with the big shops. So then it's rather, we call it software as a service or fulfillment model. They're using our platform, like some US publishers are using Ingram core source or so. But actually they're doing the same thing. They are managing their catalog, and our service helps them to distribute their digital products properly. There's a huge retail landscape. We have a lot of retailers like Amazon, the big ones, I mentioned them already. We have local retailers like here it's Baja Libros, or in Mexico it's Gandhi, or in Brazil it's Saraiva, in Germany it's Tolino, the alliance of the biggest booksellers. So it's a huge landscape to be provided. There's also libraries, there's academic libraries for academic content, there's public libraries that are provided by Overdrive, or Onleihe, what is a German model, or Odilo in the Spanish-speaking market. There is subscription models like Nubico in the Spanish-speaking market, like Kindle Unlimited. So there's really a huge number of business models, and this complexity has to be handled. And talking about our role in the German market a little bit, we were quite a lot pioneering in Germany, because as I said, at the beginning, nobody was really believing that this service might be needed. Today, 90% of the publishers have digital products. So from disbelief to belief, it only took a few years, because once the numbers are really showing that you can make money there and you see that you're otherwise losing business, well, it goes very fast. And well, that's maybe one of the points that have to be reached in the Latin American world a little bit more, really the understanding of, okay, we have to move all together, and once we move all together, we have a market. And we now, as a company in the German market, we manage more than 50% of the available titles in the market. So that's a huge success, and I would say more than half of these books wouldn't be there if we hadn't motivated publishers to reactivate their backlists, to produce titles, to produce them in time, at the same time where the print book is coming out, to have the digital book in place. So there's many things that are not very natural for publishers when they are in the exploration phase, I would say. And so, these are just covers from, for example, the biggest sci-fi series publisher. What is very different from the next one, what is a computer book publisher. He also went digital, very afraid of piracy. Today, super successful, very, very successful, because the audience wanted the books to be digital. There's literary fiction in the middle, there's non-fiction. So actually, it's across all categories. Everybody's digital. There's only a few like coffee table publishers where, well, everybody understands quickly that it's not really useful to be digital. And the most successful categories are, as we all know, thrillers, crime, sci-fi, fantasy, romance. These are the categories that are really driving the market, but that doesn't mean that the other categories aren't working. It's just the categories that are working the best. So, talking about some challenges, because I want to come to technology now. It's a multi-format world, a lot of formats to be handled. It's a multi-channel world, as I said, a lot of business models to be handled. The customer is changing. We've heard this already from Jose this morning, like the consumption time of media is being eaten up by other industries. And the customers are behaving differently. They want different pricing. We are losing readers. I will come back to that with a survey from Germany later. We have dominant gatekeepers. We have a discoverability problem because these dominant gatekeepers control the discoverability, the visibility of books. So in my view, it's getting quite complicated. I'm sorry for this layout mess that's just happening because of the resolution here. I don't know why. It's a 16:9 presentation normally. So don't worry. So it's getting really complicated. And that's why we consider our services not just as a distribution service anymore, already for a long time. Distribution is more than logistics. It's not just sending files from here to there. It's about, of course, making content available, but it's also about analyzing content. It's about marketing content. It's about automation, what is a very, very big topic once the market gets in the more mature phase, because you have to be efficient. You're handling big catalogs, looking at US publishers with 100,000 titles in the catalog. What are you doing when the format specifications are changing? Are you changing 100,000 books manually? So these are the questions that are coming up later. So automation is a very, very big topic. And of course, the fact that we are really fighting for the attention of the readers. And that should be in our focus very much, because as we all know, we just have to watch ourselves behaving and be very honest to ourselves. I think many of you are using Spotify or Netflix or other kinds of media services. So it's not that this is just going away and books are not affected. So we are in a lucky situation that books are not so heavily affected yet and haven't been so heavily affected, but I'm not sure if this is going to stay this way. So, looking at the market in different phases, I would say there's a phase one in the market where digital formats are coming up, where it's about availability, make things available, handle the channels, building up a basic infrastructure and understanding the market metrics and so on, and start talking to the new retailers and do some campaigns with them. Then there is a phase two, where it's getting a little bit more complicated, where it's about discoverability, about metadata, about perfect pricing, about the perfect product, how we say, how can the product be perfectly well equipped with the right metadata, with the perfect keywords, so it can be found in the stores. It's about retail model management. Are my books available in libraries and subscription models at the same time? Or are we doing some so-called windowing, meaning first selling in download, then selling in libraries, and then selling in a later phase, maybe in subscription? These are questions that have to be addressed. It's about data analytics. How can we learn from the data that's coming from the market? That's a thing that's very difficult for publishers, and I can just encourage everybody to really investigate on that. And then I would say, like the US, the German market is already in the phase 3. So we have already tried to address all these topics of phase 2. It's not that we have done it perfectly well, but we're entering in a phase where it's really about fully digital workflows, about digital marketing, how to address the reader. We don't necessarily have to sell the book to the reader directly, but how are we finding them directly? Traditionally, there's a wall between reader and publisher because there used to be intermediaries like wholesalers and so on. That did the work. I don't think that this is going to work in the future. And as you can see with like progressive US publishers, they are really having so much community building initiatives towards the customer. I think this is also part of digitalization. And of course, the high degree of automation, as I said, when you're handling a lot of data, and when you're trying to measure and to analyze a lot of data, you need technology for that. So, one of my theses is, it's not very new, I've said that a couple of times, also in interviews, is publishers have to become real e-commerce companies. There's no way around. I know that the past has been great. For me too. I had a great time in the music industry, but selling records, it's no business anymore. So I had to change too in this regard. So we have to embrace technology, we have to grow know-how, and we have to develop our teams to learn how to adapt. When you go to a future conference, what they tell big companies is always the adaptability quotient, what is really an interesting term, is key for your success. If you're not able to adapt, you're going to disappear. And maybe you're going to disappear in 5 or 10 years, maybe in 20, you don't know yet. But when it's happening suddenly. And the beginning is gradual, but it's like going bankrupt. So first you go a little bit bankrupt, and then suddenly you're totally bankrupt. So I think this is the effect we will see here too. So coming to technology, the platform that we are offering to publishers is technology. It's about serving publishers of all kinds of sizes. It looks like that. It provides a lot of statistics, analytics. It's completely web-based, of course, and actually it's already the 3rd version of the platform. Just to give you an idea about how fast things develop also in our company, the first version is already in the trash can. It was re-engineered in 2013. And just recently, the last 6 months, we had a feature freeze in the company because we needed to exchange some 5-year-old back-end components. It wasn't possible to scale further. It was a very tough decision. We froze the features and we said, okay, we're going to fix this and then we can continue our very ambitious technology roadmap. So nothing is forever. So the platform is handling the digital assets. It's managing the products, it's managing the metadata, it's managing the distribution, so all the channels. It's managing the production. It's also managing analytics. It's about managing the product. So that's how it looks like when you open up a product. But then it's of course managing your international pricing. It's checking whether the products are available in the stores or not, whether they have adequate pricing. You can program price campaigns, scheduled prices. So all kinds of things that you need to quickly work with the digital opportunities you have. And of course you have to have a very, very easy view on sales data. My personal view is, and I'm living this very openly in my company, the information belongs to the people who work with the products. It's very traditional in many markets that the bosses have access to the interesting data and then tell their people what to do. My view on this is it's totally wrong. The people who do the marketing, the people who work with the product need to know the data, and you have to provide them with tools that they can find out themselves. I think they're pretty smart. usually. That's why you hired them. So give them all the information you have to make good decisions, because it's too fast to wait until somebody up in the second floor is deciding what to do next. It takes too long. And looking at some tech features that I find very, very interesting, it's something like, we call it dynamic in-book promotion. That's a good example for real technology. It's automatically integrating book recommendations at the end of each EPUB based on an algorithm that says, okay, there's some successful books that relate to this book. It's a recommendation algorithm, and it's integrating the books automatically into the EPUBs and distributing them to the shops. So that's fully automated. It's technology. You can't do this manually. And publishers started doing this manually, but what are you doing? In 2 years, you have to advertise your bestseller. Well, it's not the book that you integrated 2 years ago into the EPUB when you were producing the EPUB. So that's a good example, and it's one of the most successful marketing features that we have established, how in a distribution process something can be automated and enriched with something really valuable. Another thing is, for example, product lifecycle management. I mentioned that earlier. It's like the movie industry. You have a movie that is showing up in the cinema first, and it goes to TV. It's a chain of exploitation. So it's a chain of channels that you're using for the specific product. So you can do this too in the platform. I think that was an answer to publishers saying, I don't go into subscription. No, never. I want to sell downloads. So, okay, it's okay, but maybe after 12 months, maybe when the product is down in the life cycle, you may take advantage of another business model that you don't consider for day one. So that's something that you can do technically. It's solvable. Another thing is reader analytics. That's data that's coming back from the market. These mentioned subscription platforms that not so many publishers really like, because that's a new business model, and I understand that this is not adequate for every product. But they are very open to share data about the target groups, about the people who are consuming. So that's super interesting for us to show in the platform which people are consuming. Is it really the age group that you were expecting? Is it the gender that you were expecting? So that's a bit a European-only project at the moment, because we get data from these channels that we're working together in Europe. But I'm hardly working on big retailers. Amazon is difficult, but the others, to share data. I think we need a bigger cooperation vertically in the value chain between retailers, between publishers, to make things better. And this is one of the projects to make things better. Another thing is, for example, marketing analytics. We introduced this special dashboard view on marketing campaigns. You all know price campaigns. You're doing price campaigns. In digital, it's easy to do. You can just set the price lower. In Germany, it's quite restricted. We have fixed prices, so every retailer gets the same price. But nevertheless, we have the opportunity to set prices, so we can analyze it in one view. It's a very 5? Okay, that's good. That's enough. So you can look at campaigns like this and compare KPIs. Compare, was it successful? Was it a good one? How is my next campaign going? This is real e-commerce business. This is what other industries are doing on a daily basis, selling their products in e-commerce. So, and you can learn from that. You can benchmark. And there's 2 other big projects that I would like to mention at least. We are optimizing, we are developing a tool that automatically creates keywords in the future for books, because keywords are very bad usually. It's a very nice project. Another one is we are predicting prices. So we are helping publishers to find the adequate price for a price campaign. That's a very long shot. We're working with a team of mathematics on that. But that's something that I see as our task as a distributor, to help publishers with these challenges in the digital world. To what is the right price? How can I take advantage of learning from data from the past? So I know what worked in the past. I can adapt to what worked in the past, by genre, by price segment. It's really exciting. So finally, it's going to be a cockpit of things that you need around you. I really like this word cockpit, and this needs to be in the hands of the right people. And just very quickly, I will show this just very quickly. We lost a lot of readers in the German market. We didn't lose sales, we lost readers. So in volume, you can see the curve, it's still quite okay. But we lost a lot of readers. The older readers are buying more. That is compensating it a little bit. But we are losing readers. So especially in the target groups that are red marked, that's the young readers. So, and that brings me to my last very important point of this presentation. We need to look at audiobooks, because audiobooks is probably the new reading. That's a thesis, I know. Like Markus Dohle said, it may be 50% in the future. It may be 10% in the future. We don't know yet. But all we can see is there's something going on there. In the audiobook market, it has increased by over 20% over the last 6 years, double-digit growth all the time. It's a billion-dollar market today. And it's young people consuming. So that's the key point for me. It's a key to young readers. And they don't stop reading, by the way. They just get in touch with content, with the thing that publishers are the best at, creating great content. And in Germany, it's the same. We have a kind of pioneering function in Germany. We're pioneering in streaming. So German audiobook publishers tried to give their audiobooks into Spotify and see what's happening there. The Spotify model is very difficult for books, but it's a good model for music. So we tried to adapt to it also as a company and found a way how to monetize well in Spotify. And just to emphasize what I'm saying here, this is about digital music in Germany. The red, purple thing is streaming. The green one is download. So download is going away. It's not even 10, 15 years old. It's going away completely. I think Apple almost missed the train, almost missed the boat because they didn't have an appropriate streaming model. Now they have Apple Music. Now they are competing with Spotify. And this is the number of users that are using Spotify. So it's incredible. And we had to address this audiobook topic in two ways. One way is, of course, we offer distribution, but we also do production now. That's a big thing. It's very complicated to make an audiobook. It's much more complicated than making an ebook. And we address the way how to send this to streaming models, because we are cutting automatically the audiobooks into segments that have a length of a music track, because the Spotify model was made for music tracks. So a chapter that is 20 minutes long is not monetizing quite well. So you need 3-minute chapters, and then you're monetizing well. So that's, again, a good example for technology in the distribution that helps you to solve a problem that seems unsolvable. And so, summing up, the green things that have already happened, we have a format, we have a retail market, and we have digital devices. What is not fully digital yet, in my view, is data, is marketing, is workflows, it's people. Well, people should stay here, but you know what I mean. I mean the mindset. The consumer will keep on developing technology, business models. So the digitalization has really just begun. It's only the format, but there's a lot to come in the future. And when the EPUB goes into the browser, I don't know, that's something that we have to watch closely, in my view, because that's also maybe a game changer again for book reading. So I want to close with two things that I took away from a Future conference that I attended this summer. I go there every year, try to inspire myself and try to understand what other industries are doing. And somebody was showing this picture, and I found this so amazing that I had to bring this here. Does anybody know which city this is? It's Shanghai in '87. So in this picture, it's Shanghai 23 years later. I think this is just a good picture for how quickly the world develops. The iPhone is 10 years old. I've just recently watched the keynote from Steve Jobs again, saying, wow, and the biggest thing is we have apps. It's 10 years ago. It's really crazy when you look at this. It feels like a little kid is explaining to you what you have known forever already. The last sentence that I want to give you is something that I took away from this conference that was a bit frightening to me, I have to say, but I've been thinking about this for almost a half a year now, what it means to me, if I like it or not. I think I don't like it really, because I find the world pretty difficult already, but probably it's right. And this conference was about e-health, about, well, mobility, about all kinds of technologies. It's not going to be so slow as it's today. And I think this is a good sentence to move, to start moving and to start thinking about what we have to do next. So it's not necessarily a mission to the moon, what was one of the sponsors showing there, but I think it can be very little steps, but you have to take them. Thank you.